this might be something that is controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you really think about it, in essence, debt is usury. Okay, it's usury. This is why I say that the wealthy have co-opted debt to get richer. This is understanding how money works because they understand the game. If one person is able to use debt to get rich, to actually get rich and wealthy, and another person uses debt and actually gets poorer, more poor in the process, there's something wrong with the way this is, right? What's up, y'all? So today I wanted to talk about something a little bit more serious that a lot of people in the financial freedom space tend to ignore. And that is the relationship between creating financial freedom for yourself, or, debt freedom, and wealth. Listen, we are all aware that you need money to pay off debt. That's obvious. But what's hardly discussed is the underlying dilemma with having debt on a low income. And I wanted to talk about this today, so stick around for the tea on that. One of the things about being on a low income is oftentimes, debt is necessary. Some people, don't have enough income from their normal jobs to pay for certain necessities or certain extra things that they may need to get, and so they have to use their credit cards to pay it off. And in different circumstances, you may not have enough income to pay for something, so you have to put it on your credit card. This is something that is very common, especially in the West. Most of us are either low income or middle class. There's a lower, the higher you get up, the percentage of people in that class system, I guess, or that socioeconomic and that status gets lower. Okay, there's more poor, there's more lower income people, there's more middle class people in this country in the West than there are rich people, right? And so that's why debt is such a huge part of our society, and this is the way that our society has made it. And so a lot of people don't just use credit cards just like the wealthy use them, or debt like the wealthy use them. They use them because it's a necessary addition to their lifestyles. They have to have it. And so the dichotomy between this becomes a little bit interesting, because it's like you want to pay off your debt and become debt free, but how do you do that when debt is a necessary part of your life? You have to have it in order to afford certain things that are a little bit, more than what your actual income is. So because of this, it becomes not so much about understanding how to pay off debt, but it becomes more about understanding how money works in our current system. So learning about, how to pay off debt is almost like putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem, because in the future, how will you make sure that you no longer accumulate debt or negative debt in your life without understanding how money works? So it's almost like when speaking or when teaching about debt freedom, it becomes almost like we're talking about a symptom, right? Instead of actually the underlying cause of the issue or of the disease, of the problem. And this, of course, becomes a much bigger conversation because, like I said, we live in a debt-based society. So it's not like we created debt in general. Our society, our system created it for us and allowed us to have a way to purchase things that we wouldn't normally be able to purchase on our current incomes, but this causes a much deeper problem in the future, right? And again, symptoms of that initial cause of disease or the initial cause of a problem. So in this system in the West, debt was created for poorer people or people with lower incomes, or people with not enough income to live a certain type of life to be able to live that life. So we have, this whole American dream aspect to our society now, if you're in America, to where back in the day, the boomers, they were able to buy houses and cars and things like that for their families off of mortgages, off of debt. So this was initially why it was created in the first place. Instead of actually, when you really think about it, instead of being able to pay people enough to afford these things, or instead of creating this broad system of debt, there could be a limit to it, how much debt you can actually accumulate. And maybe there was in the past. I need to look into that, because there might have been a limit to that, because at that time it was so new that there wasn't really a credit system to where you could actually like assess somebody's credit score and say, okay, well, you can only purchase this much credit because of your score, right? Back then there wasn't that type of system in place. So instead of them having like a limit, right, and saying, okay, we're gonna, not only are we gonna, this is a new system, right, this is a new revolution, this is a new economic revolution, so we're going to make sure that people get paid enough so that they can afford at least 4 payments on their mortgages, right? So you have a limit. You know, you may not be able to pay for your house out of pocket right away, just from cash, just your cash flow, but you might be able to afford 4 payments on it and then be done and paid off. So it wasn't based like that. The system wasn't created that way. It was really created for you to just be able to accumulate as much debt as you possibly could, so you can buy the things that you wanted to buy and live this American dream, this lifestyle. However, later on down the line, in the future, where our current society is right now, the rich have co-opted debt to get richer. So now it's no longer this thing where everybody's just in debt because this is just the American dream, and you know, we're able to buy our houses, we have these lives. Now it's become a burden for the poor because we can't pay it off, because our debt to income ratios are all out of whack. Like I said before, it should have been established, the system should have been established to where people were made enough to where they could at least afford this limit, right? They can afford 4 payments instead of a whole lifetime's worth of paying off a mortgage. That's not the way our system is anymore. So while the poor are burdened with their debts, the rich have co-opted debt to get richer, and they're using debt to actually purchase assets. This is why I said it's not so much understanding how to get out of debt, because it's almost like putting a band-aid on a much bigger problem. It's more about understanding how money works in our society so that you can protect yourself from further debt slavery, I guess, if you want to call it that, and learning how to at least pay off the debt in a decent amount of time, so it doesn't become this anvil around your neck. So back to this concept of debt being made for the poor, but has been co-opted for the rich to get richer. And this might be something that is controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you really think about it, in essence, debt is usury. Okay, it's usury. It causes an unfair disadvantage for the poor due to high interest rates and ridiculous terms that their income could never compete with. And when you think about it, this was how it was originally established, and it just got a lot worse over the years. So this is where it becomes an issue of, is it so much the debt? Is it so much the accumulation of debt, as opposed to just the fact that the system that we live in is set up in a way to cause you to always be burdened by debt, because you just will never be able to make enough money to accumulate in order to pay off the debt in a decent amount of time, so where your whole life isn't spent paying off debt. You're become a debt slave. Now, this is why I say that the wealthy have co-opted debt to get richer. This is understanding how money works, because they understand the game. When the credit score was introduced to society, that changed the whole game, because then the higher your credit score, the more debt that you can accumulate, okay? So the more money that you can actually have access to that may not be really yours, but if you know how to work it, you can actually use that money that's not yours to purchase higher yielding assets that will bring in income, right? And that will actually help you to increase your debt to income ratio, to make it to where even though you have this debt over here, your income is constantly growing through the purchase of those assets. So looking at it that way, you see how there's a game being played there. But if you're not aware of this game, then your debt constantly becomes an anvil around your neck. So it's possible to end up getting upside down on things to where you're actually drowning and you're not able to get back up and use the debt that you have to help you come out of it. So this is typically what happens when you're on a low income. You've accumulated debt, not because you just wanted it for some, nefarious reasons or whatever. You accumulated debt because you needed it, right? in order to help you live your life because your income wasn't enough. So you accumulate this debt, and over time you end up becoming upside down on it, and your debt to income ratio is all out of whack, and you're no longer able to pay off that debt in a timely manner, to pay off your credit cards in a timely manner, and all of it. And so then you end up getting a lower credit score. You end up being punished for you not being able to pay off your debt in a timely manner, or at least pay on your debt even on a timely manner. And so you've got a lower credit score, and then you're not able to purchase additional debts that will help you to purchase assets. You see what I'm saying? So you can't open up these credit lines or lines of credit or loans and things like that to purchase additional assets to get to the place where you're above water. You're finally above water. And this is the trap. This is a complete trap for the low income earning American. It's a complete trap. So what do? It's still possible for you to be on a low income and pay off debt, right? It's still possible. But the realistic way of looking at it is you've got to have additional income to do this in a more constructive way, in a timely manner, right? Where it's not a race, right, to pay off debt, but you also don't want to have to be paying off debt for the rest of your life either, right? So this is where the dichotomy between the rich and the poor come into play. The rich understand the way to play the game. They understand how to use their debts to earn additional income to pay off their debts and to sustain their lifestyles, right? But the poor don't understand that concept. Some of them don't. But some of the lower income people don't understand that concept because they don't have time to understand it. They're trying to live their lives, and they're using this debt to help them live their lives. They don't have time to, think about how to play this game, right? So this is the issue with the way that our system is. Like I said, it's a usury. It's a concept of usury. If one person is able to use debt to get rich, to actually get rich and wealthy, and another person uses debt and actually gets poorer, more poor in the process, there's something wrong with the way this is, right? And I just want people who are low income, who are, just at their wits' end when it comes to their debt, and they're just like, listen, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to have to live this way. And maybe you've come to a place where you're earning more, you're earning more income, but you still have this burden of debt, and you just can't seem to get above water. But what I want to say is it's still possible to pay off debt on a low income, but you have to realize that you're going to need more income to do this. So however that looks, maybe having a side hustle. A lot of people do that on the side and using some of that money or all of that money to pay off their debts. And another way is to increase your credit score. Take out a secured credit card. Secured credit cards are basically using your money up front. So what you do is you put down an amount of money on that card that you can use, right? So a lot of secured credit cards, I think you can put down like $200 on a credit card. So you're using your own money as credit for the beginning of it, right? To kind of build up your credit, right? And so you're using that, you're paying it off on time every month. Okay, you're making your payments. You're paying a little bit over the amount that's due. And you're paying it sometimes a little bit ahead of time too, not just on time, but you want to pay it like a day or two before it's due. So once you see your credit score start going up, and when it's at a decent level, you can use that to help purchase additional credit to purchase assets. Assets are anything that's going to help you to earn additional income from the thing that you purchase. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be as big as a house. It can be something like a car. Maybe you can use that car to rent out. Like some people rent their cars out. You can rent out your car. You can flip your car. That's an asset still, because even though you're letting it go, you're still using that car that you purchased to earn money from. Or you can do things like rent out rooms in your house to earn money. A lot of people do this. It's like Airbnb, but only you're still living in your house and you're renting out a room. There's all sorts of ways to do this. There's all sorts of things you can do. You don't have to even buy assets if you don't want to with your credit. But the thing is that a lot of people don't speak about when it comes to low income and paying off debt is you really need additional income to do that. Because when you think about it, that's the whole reason why you're in debt in the first place, because you needed credit, your credit cards to help you live your life. So that goes to show you that you need additional income. There's all sorts of ways to earn additional income, but that's the key. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that because they don't want to make it seem like it's impossible to pay off debt in a low income. And it's not impossible, but you have to understand that debt can be something that you can actually use to earn assets and actually earn additional income. Rich people, they call it using other people's money. All right, using other people's money, and it doesn't necessarily have to be literally other people, because some people do use other people's. Like they'll have investors and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. Other people's money, meaning credit, right, or loans from banks. You're using other people's money to make money. This is a rich dad, poor dad kind of concept, and this is something that's possible to do. It's just getting out of that hole first and foremost. If you're in debt right now, most likely your credit score is low. Get that credit score high. That should be the first thing that you focus on. Get that secured credit card. Don't get a credit card, another one. Get a secured credit card. Put $200 on that thing. Okay, if you don't have $200, save $200, and then put it on that thing. Purchase, make small purchases. Don't go crazy with it. Okay, pay it off before the due date. Pay more on it than what it's due if there's a minimum payment. So once you start using it more and your credit score starts to increase, what will happen is they'll actually put a credit on top of that initial $200 that you put on that card. And so you'll have a higher credit limit on that secured credit card, and you can still continue to use it. Use it all the way up until you think that your credit is high enough to where you're in good standing. Then you can actually start making moves and doing things to help pay off your additional credit. If that's buying additional assets, if that's renting out additional rooms in your home, flipping cars, doing just side projects, side hustles to earn you extra money to pay off your existing debt. So the adage goes, it takes money to make money, but it also takes money to pay off debt as well. So get that credit score up and focus on different ways that you can earn extra money. And then maybe you'll be in good standing to where you can actually purchase additional credits or a loan, and so that you can get yourself an asset. All right. And then you can start really making moves towards financial freedom. Again, debt doesn't have to be a bad thing, and rich people use it for the positive. They use it, actually, it's a positive thing in their life, debt. So when you have that mindset, you understand how money works, you can actually flip the script and you can stay in debt for the rest of your life. But that debt isn't a burden to you because your income is much higher, and you're just using that debt to keep those assets going. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Want more content about paying off debt, financial journeys, making money on the side. I actually just released a video the other day about getting a side hustle in the medical delivery business. So if you want to look into that, that's another option that you can do on the side. So if you want more content about that, go ahead and subscribe to join the Tea Party. Until next time, y'all, bye.